While new GERs would increase students' exposure to issues of diversity and culture, they are not a perfect solution. There is no perfect solution. So I challenge you, people of Emory, to help our community grow by partaking in constructive dialogues on campus. Share your life experiences and your unique perspectives. Let's take it upon ourselves to teach each other, learn from one another, and from this, emerge a stronger and better community. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Our next speaker is college senior Christian Conway, speaking on conduct disparities, issues in Greek life, and the concept of racism as a whole on Emory's campus. Okay. Good evening, Emory. I may have a little trouble reading the speech because it's dark up here, but I'm going to do my Okay. Oh, there has been institutionalized racism since I arrived on this campus, and arguably since the founding of this institution in 1836. As one body, one voice, one spirit, it is imperative that we completely grasp what racism looks like in 2013. Because even amongst my brightest colleagues, I find that unfortunately misunderstood. Racism in 2013 rarely appears in the form of being hung by trees like my ancestors during the horrible time that was Reconstruction. Neither is it socially acceptable to spray women and children with water hoses, which occurred in the 50s and 60s. White men and women are not permitted to tell me to move to the back of the bus, plane, or train, nor am I explicitly denied admission into a school such as Emory based on the color of my skin. However, to understand racism at Emory University, the South, and this country as a whole, it is imperative to grasp that racism today has not died out, it has not disappeared, and the only place that we can find it is not in the dusty old pages of our high school history books. Racism has manifested in the removal of cultural beats, in the increase of Emory lures that perpetuate the black male as the only criminal, the banning of traditionally black activities, i.e. stepping in locations such as Dobbs University Center, and the ever more misleading trap that is Essence, which has become more evident, and the removal of multiple black organizations and spaces on campus. Racism today is alive and well. It surfaces in the form of white privilege and the lack of acknowledgement of that privilege. It surfaces as being tolerated at a school such as Emory University, but not welcomed. It surfaces as being tolerated in a school such as Emory University, but not welcomed. It surfaces in the form of being asked to get over your feelings and ignore the obvious discrimination that is being inflicted upon you. It surfaces in the systematic removal of everything on campus that could have possibly made you feel at home. Not simply roomed and boarded in a temporary, unfortunate, uncomfortable holding cell that has been Emory for me and many others. Many of you may not understand how the removal of Alpha Phi Alpha and Delta Sigma Theta on Emory's campus played a major role in the systematic racism aforementioned. Many may not know that Alpha Phi Alpha had the only technical historical black house on an all-white Greek road. Through many events that contributed to the health of a positive social scene for minorities on campus, but also many of these events gave large contributions to charities such as STEP for sickle cell. Delta Sigma Theta put on a great deal of the academic programs and service projects for African Americans in the entire community at large, served as role models for underclassmen, and had many signature events such as Rendezvous in Red, Delta SIP, and various educational talks that have been greatly missed by this Emory community. These things and many more positive aspects about these groups have been quickly stained and marred by hazing allegations, rumors, and quick decisions, which have abruptly removed these two groups in the same semester for 5 years without any consideration of the pain, anguish, and the pain that this removal may have caused. The removal of these two groups had left a hole in the Black community that for many was too large to close. Although the following year, many African Americans tried to push on despite the decision, the Black Student Alliance House was removed in a similar fashion with little to no explanation and coldness to the people who asked. What is important here is not to get bogged down by the details of conduct cases, which to be honest is full of fluff, allegations, and hearsay to begin with, but to take these two decisions for what they were. These two groups were not given the benefit of the doubt. They were not blessed with white privilege, therefore they were not able to act like other groups on Frat Row whose student conduct as an office and as a body chose to overlook. They could not serve their pledges ridiculous amount of alcohol, be allowed to run naked down Frat Row, and have openly dangerous intake traditions, or be accused of raping innocent young women and still be allowed to throw racially insensitive parties on the road. This, to be clear, is not an attack on white fraternities and sororities who do as they please. This, however, is an attack on Emory University, who allows them to do so, but yet decides to make examples of minority groups. These groups were not able to be accused by the will of kicking a person out of a frat house for being gay, then laughing it off as it was being blown out of proportion. When you are a minority on Emory's campus, every accusation, be it true or false, has to be taken seriously because there are very little people in your corner to defend you. These two groups were targeted by the administration that was supposed to be protecting them. They were accused of wrongdoings by people with personal agendas, and they were judged before they even were given a trial. It is very sad that some of the main perpetrators of these wrongdoings were African Americans, African American administrators. Therefore, to rally against racism, it is imperative to be well informed, to understand that racism does not always come directly from the white man. Racism, similar to the devil, can be manifested in many forms and bodies. In this rally, we are fighting for equal treatment. We are fighting for Alpha and Delta in every other case across this campus with similar outcomes. We are rallying to clean house and to start fresh. With people who actually go to work every day to care for the students, to support the students, to fight for the students, not criminalize them, judge them, and manipulate them. We are rallying today for the punishment to fit the crime. Groups who are suspended for 5 years are usually caught hazing, not merely accused of hazing with weak evidence and testimony from scorned individuals. We are asking for white fraternities and sororities to not to be able to do what they please due to the color of their skin, while African American groups are targeted, criminalized, and judged and boxed into a category that is hard to get out of. We are rallying for all NPHC organizations, NAACP, Black Student Alliance, African Student Association, and every other minority group on this campus to be welcomed, not just tolerated for diversity quotas. We are rallying for all minority organizations to have faculty and administration in our corner, not merely ignored because we do not have the same net worth as many other privileged groups on this campus. We are rallying for decisions to be made with us, not for us, without the common decency of an explanation. Most importantly, we are rallying for love, appreciation, and respect. Emory University could be a better place if we followed the golden rule and treated people how we wanted to be treated. I am fully aware that some administration did not want me to speak tonight, and maybe some did. But I refuse to silence my voice when so many of my peers have truths unspoken. So many of my peers are hurting in 2013 for what? My ancestors died, fought, and struggled to make this world better for me. Why am I still denied entry into frat houses due to the color of my skin? Why are we still treating people bad because they look different than us, or because their parents are from a different country? Why has Emory University single-handedly removed the Black Student Alliance House, Alpha Phi Alpha, and Delta Sigma Theta without one explanation? The answer is minorities are not respected on this campus, and that has to change. Everyone and everything deserves to be judged by its content, nothing less and nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christian. Our next speaker will be Ruthie Rizzo, doctoral candidate in African American post-colonial literature from the Department of English and 2012 to 2013 Dean's Teaching Fellow, to speak on the problematic nature of Wagner's Commons and its links to structural issues and culture on campus.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there. It's a little cold out, but I'll be really brief. I was asked, as Kayla said, to reflect on President Wagner's remarks in his Emory Magazine column, and to talk a little bit about how it relates to some of the issues that we're facing on campus. By now, you probably know that President Wagner invoked the Three-Fifths Compromise to advocate for cuts to academic programs last fall. The Three-Fifths Compromise is one of the more troubling moments in U.S. history when white politicians of the North and South defined the relative value of enslaved women and men who could not vote as 3/5 of a person for the purpose of political representation. When I first read and reread President Wagner's column in horror and in disbelief, I asked myself, is this my battle? I'm graduating this year, I have one foot out of the door, but then I thought about the students who I teach 3 times a week in my Global Blackness class, some of whom who are here today. And I realized that I can't stand there and tell them that race and the legacies of imperialism and colonialism are important and let nothing happen and not get involved when we're dealing with these legacies on our own campus. So I decided that yes, it is my battle, and it is our battle. This is not a battle against President Wagner, though his fitness as a responsible moral leader has been very much in question over the past few years. This is a battle against forms of racism at Emory, both overt and subtle forms of racism that have appeared in both Wagner's column and in the remarks of my fellow speakers here today. Are we as a community going to be satisfied with the university that celebrates its diversity in numbers but relies on the few of us who do anti-racist work in the classroom to explore these issues? Are we as a community going to be satisfied with a university that reacts to racism rather than being proactive about it? Vice President Gary Hawk's response to Wagner's column that everyone who read it in advance and didn't realize there was a problem was white is quite illuminating. Emory cannot be a place where ignorance serves as an excuse for poor judgment. This is the time for us as a community to explore just who is responsible for recognizing problems before they arise. And hint, it's not just those of us who are people of color. This is the time to explore how a university like Emory, one with a significant minority population located in the South, can pay lip service to diversity, but allow institutional racism ingrained in the university's administrative, trustee, and judicial structures to thrive. And I think we just had a great introduction to that with the speaker, Christian, who came before me. While this problem is not unique to Emory and reflects wider structural racisms in the United States, isn't our obligation as an academic community to challenge them, to take up Emory's identity as a place where courageous inquiry leads, to address these concerns head on?
So I ask you, members of the Emory community, to join me in making a few more demands of our university. And bear with me, they're very specific. First, the return of the President's Commission on Race and Ethnicity as an interim advisory body to the administration on issues of race at Emory. 2, a commitment to reevaluating Emory's shared governance structures and inclusion of student and faculty representation in decisions made on this campus. And 3, an intensive university-wide self-study that addresses casual, intentional, and institutional racism and leads to a clear, committed stance against racism at the university and an agenda for structural reform reflecting that commitment. Administration and the Emory community because accountability for racism is our shared responsibility as a university community, and it is my battle and it is also all of our battle.